Hey everyone, so I wanted to do a breakdown on exactly how I journal my trades and the proper way you should be going about doing this because, um, really journaling is one of the most important things that you can do if you're going to choose to go on this journey and really want to take it serious. Because if you're going in there day by day, doing things just kind of without any plan, any strategy, and no way to journal it, then in my eyes and a lot of other people's minds, I would say that would be gambling. And if you want to, really treat this as a profession and take it somewhere and really see progress, then journaling is the way to do it. And journaling is the way, really, to help you analyze the mistakes that you make and find patterns in the things that you do, and it makes it a hell of a lot easier to actually go back to see that and then actually make adjustments so you can see improvement moving forward. And it's really encouraging after time when you do start to see those improvements. Um, and I think over time too, journaling becomes enjoyable. And I think at the beginning it's seen as like a pain. It's like, oh, I don't want to go in there and journal my trades every single day or every single night or what have you. But once you actually incorporate it into your day as just part of your routine, you do it no matter what, then you learn to enjoy it. Kind of just like anything in life. So really diving into it here, I have a journal with Notion. I've been using Notion for about 3 years now. You don't have to use Notion. Before this, I was using like in the beginning, I was using pad and paper or pad and pen, right, and just writing it down in a notebook. After that, I went to like Google Docs and things like that, and I've used some other softwares. But I've just found that Notion is one of the best that I've used and the easiest to use for me personally. There's a ton out there, but I've got this template here that I found has worked for me. So, um, all in all, first thing we can do is start with your analysis and what you should be doing every single day. What I do going into the day is I get on the charts at around 9 a.m. Eastern time. Doesn't have to be on the dot, can be a couple minutes before, but it needs to be before 9 a.m. And the reason for that is it makes me stay disciplined and just creates a routine out of this. What I do pre-market is I have my pre-market analysis, and so we can just go and look through an example right here. Like for instance, we can look at Monday of this week. Okay, you can see that I have the dates of which this was made. You can see that it was created on March 17th at 8:57 a.m., so right around that 9 a.m. time. I have thoughts on what I think will happen pre-market. I just jot these things down, but that is really rooted in what I actually do when I go and look at the charts. So I start off on like a higher time frame basis, and this can vary on your strategy and how you view the market. Personally, I'm trading and entering on anywhere from like a 1 minute to 5 minute time frame, but I have to determine where the draw on liquidity is for the day. Am I bullish or am I bearish? What do I think price is doing, and what can I expect? And I get that from the higher time frames, from the daily all the way down to the 15-minute time frame. And so what I do really is I go in and I am, of course, marking out my levels, doing my technical analysis, but I'm not just placing lines and boxes on the charts and screenshotting it. What I do every single time in my pre-market and my post-market routine is I'm writing out paragraphs or just jotting notes on the charts and screenshotting it, because what it's doing is it's engraving it in my brain before I go into the market exactly what I'm expecting. Because what this is going to do, it's going to hold myself accountable. It's really going to put it into my subconscious what I'm looking for. So I'm not going into the market blindly, right? And that's so important. So, I mean, we don't have to read through every single one of these, but just an example right here. Or we can look at like a lower time frame. I think it'll be more meaningful. Like if we get out of here, I do it for the daily time frame. I do it for the 4 hour time frame and the hour time frame, and then sometimes the 15-minute time frame. Okay. But for instance, if we look at the hourly time frame right here, I was bullish, so I had all of my levels marked out right here that were meaningful to me. I said S&T at London lows, they aren't inside of anything above the 15-minute time frame, so to me it's not necessarily sponsored, but I'm still bullish right now. The hourly fair value gap was respected, and 1 hour
SIBI was disrespected, so obvious bullish order flow, and target is previous week high up here. So I'm marking out my levels and I'm saying it. I'm writing it down. Beyond that, I would look for either MEX shorts or more data for continuations to unfilled weekly fair value gap. So I'm really creating a scenario and a plan for both situations of things that I'm expecting. You don't have to understand everything that I said right there because it's my own personal analysis. Just write down whatever your own analysis says and what you're looking for. And you do this every single day pre market, you are going to see progress. I promise you that. It doesn't mean you're going to be a millionaire, but what it does mean is that you are going to see progress over time, and that leads to money. Okay. So that is really my pre-market routine right there. And then what I go and do is I just jot a little note up here every single day before, goals for the day, or maybe if I did something the previous day, I want to keep it in the front of my mind where I write it down again, say, hey, I want to, I took more trades than I should have yesterday, so I want to stick to just max one trade today. And then I really just kind of give a overall summary of my bias that I got from doing my charting. And then I also take a screenshot of the economic calendar for the day. So what this is going to do is it's just going to always remind me to check the economic calendar, holds me accountable right there. And then whenever I go back and look at my analysis throughout the week, it allows me to see what news we were trading on for that day. Um, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So that is my morning routine. So I do all of that before market open. So starting again anywhere from like 8:55 to 9 a.m. I'm getting on the charts and I'm doing that. From 9:30 a.m. to around 11:30 to sometimes pushing it to max 12 o'clock. That is when I'm actually doing my trading. So when I'm actually doing my trading during the day from 9:30 to like around 11:30, um, I take screenshots of my trades while I'm in them. So for instance, that's in my trading journal right here. If I were to go and just pick out a random example right here, we can go and look at one of these right here. I have all of the information on when the trade was taken, um, and things like that. So this is going to be personalized for me, right? Based on like the models that I trade and the times that I trade and things like that. But really, I'm writing down when the trade was taken, the model that I used, um, what session, was it a win and was it a loss? Did I go long or short? And what was the risk uh, to reward on that? Okay. So I take screenshots of me actually in the trade right here. You can see that I entered this trade and I'm just screenshotting along the way. Okay. And then I said, honestly, I'm really confident my TP will get hit, but I didn't want to get greedy, so I took the 1 hour profit, right? And then you could see that I, after that, right, I take my profit, and then at the end of the day, so this is fast forwarding to after the trade was complete, I don't go in and do my analysis, post market analysis right away. I wait till the end of the day. Whoops, that's not the same one. I go back in at the end of the day to actually do my trade review, and it's going to be within the same block right here. So what I'm doing is underneath where the actual screenshots were taken and placed, I'm going underneath right here, and I'm looking at all of this. I'm really just doing a recap on the trade, right? It's pretty simple. Um, I'm marking out everything that I was used, and I'm pretty much doing the same thing that I described when I was talking about the pre-market trading, right? Or a pre-market analysis. I'm writing things out. I'm writing down all the technical analysis that I saw and what I used and walking myself through. I'm asking myself questions. Was this a good trade? What was the risk to reward good? What was going through my head? Was I emotional? What are some things that I could have done better? And I'm writing it all down. Right? See, I got a little fearful up here, so I'm being honest with myself. All right, I can't just say boom, banger trade, hit my profit, um, great trading day, and then close the charts and come back. There's always things that you can do better, right? And that's what I'm trying to really emphasize right here is because the point of journaling is to get better and have all of this data. And the way that you get better is by analyzing the data that you have and taking that information and making the proper adjustments that you need to make in order to be better. And that's what I'm doing on every single one of my trades right here, going through that entire analysis. top down, right? So it's also important to list like where your entry was, your stop loss was, your take profit was, and again, the emotions during the trade. So that's something that's really important that I do. I do that at the end of the day, like I mentioned, after the trading session is done or the trading day is done. So typically, I I come back to the charts and analyze the markets at around like 7, anywhere from 7 to 9 p.m. at night is when I'm doing my trading analysis, and that's when I'm um, my analysis for the day that had just happened, like my market recap, not for the day to come. Okay, so that's important right there. And then once that is done, and I do my trading recap, uh, for the actual trade that was taken, I do a market recap as well in an evening journal. I have something pretty neat right here where I can just link my setup of the day. So whatever setup I took that day, that's located in my trading journal, which was that tab that we were just looking at. I can link it right here and it takes me straight to it. So this is a separate trade right here. And it was a break even, it looks like. So I have all of this up here, all of my pre-market, all of my other things, and then at night after I do my trading recap, I do a recap on the entire day, right? So before I write down all of my thoughts right here, I need to actually do a recap on the market. So I'm starting from the weekly time frame if it's necessary for that day. Like for instance, this day I had weekly targets that were meaningful to me, so I started on the weekly time frame. It's not always like that. Typically, I start on the daily time frame. I go from there and I mark out everything that's important to me and write down I write these things out, right? Talking yourself through it instead of just writing down lines and boxes, like I said before, is going to help you get better faster substantially, right? It's just engraving it in your mind. So whenever, you're talking about it, you're doing your analysis or someone asks you, you can literally just rip it off right away, right away, right? You know it's like a second language to you. And um sometimes I'll be speaking it like around my girlfriend or something like that, and it's like she has no idea what the hell I'm talking about, but I can rip it off so fast that it's like I'm speaking Spanish and it's just like a separate language. And the only reason I'm able to do that and know it like the back of my hand is because I've written it out so many times every single day for years, and it really just comes as second nature at this point. So doing this on again every single time frame right here. Um, all the way from the daily, and then I typically don't go down to around the 5 minute, and then my entries anywhere from the 1 minute to 5 minute. But again, that's going to be um, variable, right? Depending on the time frames that you trade, but the idea is the same, right? And so then after all of that is done, one of the last things that I'm doing for the day is writing out my thoughts. Now, I don't typically show things like this, but um, I think just for the sake of this video, it's important to actually show because it shows you like how you need to be vulnerable with yourself. So I'll be vulnerable for the video, just so you know to be vulnerable with yourself, right? Because I think one of the main mistakes that traders have within their trading is they aren't honest with themselves and it doesn't allow them to grow. Um, Being honest with yourself is so important because it's if you have bad days or bad weeks or bad months and you don't journal them and you just block it out of your mind and try and go on and then go on without thinking about it, and then you are only journaling your wins or your break evens and things like that, you're not going to see any progress. You're not going to understand and learn from your losses or the emotions you felt that day, right? I can have a winning day, but it could still be not a good day because maybe I just was not right emotionally, right? One of the wins that I showed in this video, I would consider it not a good win on the one that I was showing earlier because I closed way too early because I got fearful. And I was able to recognize it from doing my analysis that night. And then I literally went in the next day and I felt that same exact emotion during my trade that I was in. And I thought back, I just learned from this the other day. I've gone through this so many times. I'm just going to recognize it. I understand that I'm feeling the emotion, but because I've analyzed it so many times and have felt this emotion so many times, I know that it's myself getting in the way and to just let the chart do what it needs to do, let the candlesticks do what they need to do. And I would not be able to come to that conclusion and have that conviction and clarity for my trading if it weren't for journaling. So that is just an example of why it's so important. So I'm just going through my emotions and good things that I did during the day and bad things I did during the day, if there are any, and vice versa, things like that. So that is how I'm going about journaling every single day during the week, pre-market, during the market, and then post-market at night after the sessions are done. Um, then I do that every single day, Monday through Friday. Even on the days that I don't trade, I need to mark down that I didn't trade, but then I still need to do analysis on the day just because it keeps you in that routine and keeps you in that habit, holds yourself accountable. There's always things to learn. The last thing that I do is I am doing a weekly review. So you can see like on the right hand side right here, there is a weekly review from 310 to 314. So that's going to be these days right here. And this is just really helpful right here because it allows you to kind of see like the bigger picture of the market. What I do is I zoom out to a 1 hour time frame and look at the market Monday through Friday, right? And look at those candlesticks on the hourly time frame because what it allows me to do is it helps me understand and confirm weekly profiles. Weekly profiles is like a big thing um, in ICT concepts and helps me a lot with my trading. So you don't have to do this, but this is something that I personally need to do for my trading because it helps so much anticipate what to expect um, in in the week that you're trading, right? It helps you form a bias and things like that. So I write down key points like what was the high of the week, what was the low of the week, so I can understand those tendencies. And think about when you see and do this every single week over and over again, how you are going to start noticing the patterns of the market. What market profile played out? Where was the good moves? Right? It has my what do you call it? My trades for the week. So you can see that Wednesday I had a pretty bad day. I went on tilt right there, so I was able to recognize that. And I think I still ended up coming out break even for the week, which is really nice, despite having one of these days. And I haven't had one of these prior to this in a long time. So that is why, journaling for that day and doing this weekly review was so important to me. And I'm sure I go into this right here. I go over my performance. I rate my performance, right? You can see right here, I say I overtraded on Wednesday and exposed my account to unnecessary risk. Um, and then I reflect on the week, right? What have your emotions been during the week? It's been really, really tough price action in March for me personally. I feel like a lot of the trading community was experiencing it as well and is currently experiencing it. But this was a day where I went on tilt and overtraded um, for the first time in a really long time, like I mentioned. And so honestly, whenever I have that, it makes me excited, like even more excited to journal at night because it allows me to attack it head on and really talk myself through it. Because if I were to just leave it at that and overtrade and then just kind of not talk about it with myself and talk myself through it, there's no way I'd be able to go into the next day or over the weekend and not be frustrated, right? I can talk myself through it and, be like a positive self-talk coach to myself. And that is one of the biggest lessons that I've learned um, from listening to ICT is that when you are journaling and when you are talking to yourself as a trader, you need to be your biggest cheerleader. Even on the super shitty days that you've had, it is so important no matter what. You need to address the bad things that you did, but you can't leave it off at that. You need to leave it off on a good note and talk about things you did good, if there weren't any, what you're going to do moving forward, and why it's going to be okay. And if we were to go through that right here, so direct reflection of why the rules need to be followed, right? I overtraded the day before, a direct reflection of why the rules need to be followed. I understand it was bad price action. We were consolidated, blah, 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 blah. But it is not an excuse to blame the market. It's the market testing how good my risk management is, and I can make it through during these times to be able to capitalize on the good price action, right? So I'm leaving it off on a good note. And I'm really happy that uh, this one showed up here because I think it's better than if I ended up just having a good week and just talking about, yeah, I did this right, good week, blah, blah, blah. This is a really good example right here where if you have a bad week and you do some bad things and there's some things to learn from, how you talk yourself through it. Okay? Because you can't leave it off on a bad note. There's just no way you can do that and be successful, right? So that is my trading, journaling, uh, regiment for the week. I do it on a weekly basis, and this is how I do it. And it's not always going to stay the same, right? I've been journaling for so long now, right? Like if I went to 2024, I've been doing this every single day, right, for a long time. And this looks a hell of a lot different than what I was just showing, and that's okay. But the the overall message is that it needs to be a routine. Okay? It needs to be something that you do all the time because you're going to learn your tendencies. I learned that over trading is my biggest downfall in my trading. And what I've been able to do since learning that, I've been able to put protocols into my trading to help prevent that. That doesn't mean I'm going to prevent it every single time. I'm still human too. And all of the trading influencers out there that are so-called perfect, they are human too, and they make errors. But 9 times out of 10, they're only showing the good days. And so I have a lot of respect for the people that show the bad days as well, because it happens to every single person out there. Um, and yeah, I just you need to be able to recognize these things, and the only way that you can do it is through journaling. So that is why it's so important. Um, and I hope that if you watch this video all the way through, you were able to see that um, you maybe learn something where it's like maybe I was journaling, but only doing it every other day now. So uh, I understand the importance of it. Or if you weren't journaling at all, get your ass on it because it's how you are going to take that next step if you want to take this profession seriously. And yeah, so I think that's going to be it for this video. Hope it was helpful, and good luck and good trading to you.